Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we getting on? So, new Inside the Vault blog post today, and Bethesda have released some more information on the upcoming changes to the event system that they initially teased back at QuakeCon. Let us know there were going to be a few changes coming there. And yeah, it's a lot of player requests coming in with these particular changes, so some very, very cool things, something we've been crying out for a while, and I think a lot of people are going to be very, very happy to see. So, let's jump in and take a look, shall we? So, Inside the Vault Public Events Preview. Patch 13 is coming to Fallout 76 next Tuesday, which is cool. That's what, 3 weeks since the last patch, I think? It explains why they've gone for straight from 12 to 13 rather than doing a 12.5 like they normally would. The turnaround's a little bit quicker than it normally is. So, we're pleased to announce we've taken your feedback to heart and made quality of life improvements to the event system, which is, yeah, long overdue. I think a lot of us will be happy. We've reclassified select events as public events, which will feature added details on the map. So this is only certain events, not all of them, but it does seem to be the big ones, as we'll see in a minute. So they will feature added details on the map, free fast travel, server-wide announcements, and other improvements. A few more details below. Earlier this year, we asked you to share your thoughts with us on the events in Fallout 76. After reading through many pages of your likes, dislikes, and suggestions, we put together a plan to address your feedback with a series of quality of life improvements. We've selected a number of existing multiplayer-focused events and recategorized them as public events, which will differ from regular events in many ways. Okay, so a number of the events will be staying as they are, pretty much, or at least for now. There might be some changes in future, we'll have to see. But the big multiplayer ones, certainly the most popular events, have been reclassified as public events and have some really, really cool stuff here, actually. So, for starters, you told us that it's a pain to cough up caps to fast travel to an event that's almost over or about to end in failure. We agree, that's not much fun. But we can't predict when an event will fail, as that's based on player action or inaction. We decided to make fast travel to public events free. Definitely welcome. The timer thing, obviously, they could base it on, but depending on what players are doing, the event might be about to fail for other reasons. So, yeah, it's good to see that's becoming free. I think a lot of people will be very happy about that. Now, I've run into this before where the timer's about to end, and I don't know that until I get there, and I've paid 30 odd caps or whatever. Not a vast amount, but nonetheless. And then it fails, and it's kind of disappointing, to say the least. Many of you also mentioned that you'd like to see more event information on the map, and we've made a variety of UI improvements that we hope you'll enjoy. Some of these look really good. See some of the details here in the picture. We've got encrypted as an example, picture to go with it, join event button, and a rogue creature is terrorizing Appalachia. We already know that one, that's standard. But they've got difficulty here, and how long ago the event was started, the number of people involved in the event, and the type of gameplay that you're going to be experiencing here. If this is anything to go by, and they're listing encrypted as a hard event, we can probably use this as a benchmark to judge the difficulty of other things based on what they say about them, but obviously encrypted is one of the hardest events there is at the moment, Scorched Beach Queen notwithstanding anyway. Based on that being listed as hard, we can say that the difficulty description is probably reasonably accurate, which is good to see. There's a little more information on that in just a second as well. When you look at the map after patch 13, you'll find that public events display a larger and flashier icon than normal events. So we can see the top of it here, and that does look to be significantly larger than previously. A bit more detail as well with the exclamation mark on that. When you highlight one of these icons, a new dialog box will appear to give you many more details and help you make an informed decision about whether you'd like to join that event, like how many players are playing, how much time has passed since it began, general difficulty rating. And the interesting point here is in some cases this rating is based more on the complexity of the event's objectives, presumably as opposed to the combat difficulty, but that will depend on the event in question. So if you look at, say, Uranium Fever, that's probably going to be a relatively easy one, I'd imagine, especially given the rewards and the fact it's not particularly difficult to either follow the objectives or defeat the enemies. So, good bit of information there, which is handy. And there's got information on the type of gameplay you'll experience. So obviously you've got boss type with encrypted here, but you've also got defense, so that'd be something more like Line in the Sand by Fort Defiance. On top of that, the loading screen that appears when you travel to a public event will now show a more detailed description at the top of the screen, including tips about how to successfully complete the event. handy if you haven't done it before or it's a new event, I think. So when new events come in, they'll give you a few pointers on what you need to do to achieve the objectives, which is quite cool. Saves you some time running around wondering what's going on, that sort of thing. I know with at least a few of the events, particularly when they first launched, the later editions, it was a little bit confusing at first to find out exactly how you had to tackle them and what you had to do to make progress in the event. So that's a good little quality of life change, which is what most of this is. So, solid. I've also seen your suggestions to add more event announcements to the game, and you may be happy to know that all players in the world will now receive a notification when a new public event begins. So all these big events, you will now get a server-wide notification when they begin, as of presumably Tuesday when the patch goes live, which is cool. Definitely a very, very welcome change. I've been definitely keen on seeing this come in, and I think a lot of people have as well, so it'd be very cool to have that. There are some exceptions, however. You won't see public event notifications if you're in a vault or if you haven't reached level 7, but these announcements should help to recruit some more helping hands for tougher events like Project Paradise. So that has been one of the biggest gripes of Project Paradise, I think. Certainly for me at the very least. Initially when it came out, plenty of people were running it, but since then, because you've no idea, apart from a tiny little icon, if you happen to notice it, whether or not that event's running, it's very, very difficult to get enough players together to actually make progress on it. So this way, if it's going to get a server-wide notification, that'll be very, very handy. Hopefully it'll make it much, much easier to get more players together and basically tackle the event properly, which means you're more likely to get decent rewards out of it. So even though it's a quality of life change, it's also making running the events that much more valuable, which is good to see, because they're big content. So. And the rewards, particularly for things like Project Paradise, have the potential to be pretty good. The number of legendaries you get out of Project Paradise, as an example here, is not bad, but you do need enough people to run the event, so this should make that a lot more viable. So I'm not too sure on the level 7 thing though, as to exactly why they'd pick that arbitrary level as the point you have to hit before you see the notifications. Possibly to avoid overwhelming new players, or it might also be that the lowest level event that is being turned into a public event has a level 7 threshold on it. That just seems like a logical reason, but at the same time, I honestly don't know, so I haven't given us a great deal of details. The mechanics of public events. Okay. Aside from free fast travel, we're making a few additional changes to how they actually work. First up, you'll no longer drop your junk when you die during a public event in adventure mode. Presumably that means that you will drop it if you're in survival mode then. Instead, the respawn timer will increase each time you die until it reaches a maximum of 20 seconds. So this is interesting. Not dropping your junk, I think, is a good change, particularly for adventure mode, because as it stands, it's just kind of annoying. People aren't really looking to help themselves see junk, so it doesn't have much of an impact there. But it's just a bit inconvenient, especially if you die multiple times. And I'm thinking of encrypted here, my experiences with that. But a lot of the time you find you want to jump back to your camp, drop your junk off, and then go to the event, which just adds extra hassle and faff to it. So I think it's a good change in that regard. Putting an extended respawn timer, I think will probably bug a few people, but I think it's not a bad idea, actually. If they don't do anything, there really wouldn't be much in the way of a penalty for dying or much of an incentive to avoid dying. It would just be fine. You do need something in there that motivates you to avoid that and puts the pressure on a little bit. So making it take longer to get back into the game is mildly annoying, but not particularly onerous. So it does give you a degree of incentive without kind of dragging you down too much, I think. So it's quite a good shout there. 20 seconds isn't really very long. Because the other thing they could do is sort of cause you to respawn a little further out and then you have to run back in, which is a bit of a faff as well. So they kind of do for encrypted anyway. But then again, respawning right in the middle of a load of enemies would probably not be great either, so swings and roundabouts. But yeah, I think it's a little sort of low-level impact change that is probably a good one with the respawn timer there. We'll have to see how it actually works out, of course, but I think that's probably going to be quite positive. So next, public events no longer start based on entering or fast travelling to the event area. Okay, so just being there is not enough to trigger the event anymore. Instead, a timer will start ticking down once a public event appears on the map. To kick off the event, you'll need to perform an action, like turning on the boilers for tea time or finding the Strangler Heart for Heart of the Swamp. So there's 2 more events you know are going to be public events now. There's a list down at the bottom that you can probably see by now as well. That basically means that you have to actually go over there and actually activate the event, or somebody will, if you want to participate, which is... I'm not entirely sure why they'd do that. I mean, I think it reduces the occasions where somebody comes in late and then finds the timer has ended or is about to end. So it's probably good from that point of view. Fingers crossed, hopefully, it'll actually reduce some server strain for unoccupied events, which would be cool. Anything like that has got to be a good change. I'd imagine that would be a little knock-on effect, but, well, hopefully anyway. Yeah, I think that would be a positive thing. If no one is in the event area when the timer expires, the event will shut down. So the other implication there is that, as we'll see in just a second, there's a single cooldown shared between the majority of the public events, meaning you won't have more than one event active at a time, at least of these public events. So it helps players come together to focus their efforts on success during that event, is the idea. But looking back to the event shutting down, it also means that you won't have unoccupied events running their full timer before the next one starts. So if people aren't playing a particular event, it'll tick over and then the next one will start that bit sooner, which is cool. It means you should be able to get into the events you actually want to play significantly more quickly, which is, yeah, a good decision on that side of things as well, I think. So the events that are not included in this particular timer, however, are Scorched Earth and Encrypted. Apparently these can run independently from those rules. Possibly the Junk as well, but I'm not sure. I would think that particular rule will apply to Scorched Earth and Encrypted, but certainly the timer and the cooldown between events will not affect Scorched Earth and Encrypted because they require specific conditions in order to activate them, i.e. you've got to launch a nuke, or you've got to get a very expensive keycard and then use that to activate Encrypted. So it kind of makes sense that those are independent. It doesn't hold back the people who've gone to the effort to make those events happen. Cool. So yeah, all in all, I think it's looking like a well-considered and very, very positive change to the event system here, which, as I say, is coming on Tuesday with patch 13, along with the various bits and pieces we've covered the last few weeks rather. So the public event lineup. In patch 13, the following events will become public events and will feature all of the improvements mentioned above. Campfire Tales, that's a Pioneer Scouts one, down in the southwest corner-ish. Distinguished Guests, I don't actually know that one. Encrypted, Feed the People, Free Range, Guided Meditation, Heart of the Swamp, Jailbreak, don't know that one either. Line in the Sand, Line in the Sand. Load Bearing, One Violent Night, Path to Enlightenment, Project Paradise, Scorched Earth, Swarm of Suitors Tea Time, and Uranium Fever. We've also retrofitted popular seasonal events, Fastnacht and Meat Week, with this functionality, so if they occur again, hint hint, they will benefit from the improvements. So that's quite cool to see. Not quite sure how that's going to pan out with something like Meat Week, given that it was hour-based, and then you had every 15 minutes the other event going on. It had the two parts. But hopefully that means that at least the costs will be reduced, and there should be even more people willing to run the event, or able to run the event. It'll jump back again. Yeah, the event only kicks off if you take action to initiate it, so that should mean you'll actually have enough people to run the seasonal events properly as well, which is cool. I would also imagine that any subsequent seasonal events, we know there's one coming at Halloween and probably more besides, will also feature this particular functionality as well. I would imagine they'll incorporate that in. Good to know they included the seasonal events in there as well. So, finally, we wanted to let you know that your feedback has not gone unheard when it comes to players who don't help out with event objectives, or legendary enemies that get killed before you're able to land a few hits of your own. Working on a second phase of event improvements that will include performance-based rewards system that will enable you to loot legendary enemies during events without having to hit them before they die. This is still further down the road. Keep you posted in the coming months and share more details when these changes are ready. This is interesting. They've still got more changes to come, which is good to know. I've not really seen too much of the whole players not helping out with events thing, so I'm not 100% sure what this is referring to. I'm sure if it's people just sort of turning up, getting in on the event to claim the rewards, and they're just holding off, and just throwing a couple of hits on the legendaries or what. But if you're just passing through, you're not actually involved in the event, you have to actually engage with it to get a reward, or at least that's what they want to work towards in future based on this anyway. It's just one small paragraph of what they're going to work on over the next few months, so I imagine there's a little bit of balancing and trial and error to figure out exactly how to make this new system work, but good to know that hopefully if you're engaging with an event, you should have a better chance of getting the rewards, and those people who are, if this is a problem, which I have to admit I haven't seen, behaving in a manner that makes them basically dead weight, won't benefit from the event. So it should drive up engagement anyway, which is cool. So we hope you've enjoyed this preview of public events, and we're excited to get patch 13 into your hands next week. Until next time, we'll see you in the Wasteland. So yeah, all in all, some pretty good changes coming to the public events. There's a lot of things in there that people have been asking for a long time, particularly on the UI side of things and the server-wide notifications. Picking the events around one at a time, but more quickly, will definitely mean players are engaging with the events they want to play and able to get people in there and joining them much more easily, which is really cool. Assuming everything goes according to plan, as is always the caveat, then this should be a really good patch for the event side of things as well. So definitely looking forward to trying this out. So Tuesday, this one should be coming with us, patch 13. So do keep your eyes out for the obvious patch notes video. We'll cover in more detail there, all the ins and outs of the patch, but fingers crossed this will be a good one if everything goes according to plan, and I hope for both our own sakes and Bethesda's, because they've got to be tired of some of the issues now, that they'll have everything up and running and going smoothly. I know there's a few of the bug fixes they've alluded to over the last couple of weeks that a lot of us are very, very ready for, so that'll be something to look forward to on Tuesday. At which point, of course, the vault raids will reset back to the first of the 3 missions as well on Tuesday, so hopefully by including this patch there'll be some fixes for the few issues that they've encountered in that area as well, which would be nice to see. Yeah, fingers crossed, patch 13 is shaping up to be pretty promising, I think. So, do keep an eye out for that one. I do hope you guys have found this particular video helpful and informative. If you did, please do hit those buttons for me, so it's very, very much appreciated. Social media links down below as always if you want to keep up with me on Twitter, Instagram or Facebook. And if you're really enjoying the content, please do consider becoming a channel member. The support is hugely helpful and hugely, hugely appreciated. So thank you very much to everybody who's already done that. Details available via the join button if you want to have a look as well. For now, I'll say thank you very much for watching. Do catch one of the live streams if you get the chance as well. We're having a lot of fun as well. And I look forward to speaking to you all very, very soon.